Trap Squad, 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 Trap Squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, Thirst Trap, Trap Squad, Squirrel Squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, let me hear ya. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, let me hear ya. Trap Squad, Trap Squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap Squad, Trap Squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap Squad, Trap Squad. Trap Squad, Trap Squad.
You are all the way live with the mighty clickbaity political thirst trap. I am one of your two hosts. Maybe Mondale will pop up in here. One of your two hosts tonight, Marcus Farrell. Live on TikTok. Check me out. I got a lot of dope content coming up. And I'm rocking with the hostess from the mostest, from the bestest, the literal impermeable.
I'll take that one. I'll take that one. How you doing, black man?
I'm good, man. Listen, I'm good. It's been an interesting week in politics. Thank you to all the Trap Squad, all the Trap Squadians, all the Squirrel Gang members for showing support to us. We are rocking, we are rolling. And I'll be honest with you, there's so much going on in the world, in the news right now that I can't there's nowhere to start. So we're going to start with somewhere nice, but we have a special guest tonight. You guys have seen him on Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap channel by itself before, but he hasn't really been on Ben Dixon channel too much. I believe once or twice, maybe, possibly, I don't remember. But we are bringing on the candidate. But first, wait a minute, pause. I'm sorry, Ben. How are you?
I'm good, man. Look, it wouldn't be a day if it didn't end in Y. So it's been a day, but it's all good, man. It's good to be back here. Shout out to Mayor Mondale. We know he is in the grind right now, working on the things that he is working on, and looking forward to him getting the rest that he needs and getting back in the saddle. But other than that, man, I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, we got a good show planned. We're going to talk about Trump, of course. Probably get into a little bit of what's going on in Texas, what's going on in DC, what's going on in with the Black History Museum that Trump wants to literally he wants to just get rid of the history of it because it's not a convenient thing. And also we have I obliterated the poor Republicans this week. I think that's going to be a part of it. And also we have a special guest tonight, candidate from CD2 here in Georgia. He's running against Sanford Bishop, but he's actually running for Georgia. He was one of the people who worked with me on the Bernie Sanders campaign, making Georgia native, and Congress and congressional candidate Danny D. Glover. Danny, how are you today?
Doing good, fellas, man. How are you, Ben, Marcus? Y'all straight?
Hey, man, good to be here, man. Good to be seen instead of viewed. You know how they say in the old church. Glad to have you here, black man.
Man, hey, man, I'm glad to be here, man. Glad to be here with y'all to talk about these important topics, but also to talk about the future of this district. We got some great days ahead of us, but like most great days, it's going to take some hard work that precedes it. So we're looking forward to the conversation.
That's right. Marcus, I don't know if you want to say anything else about brother Danny, but
listen, it's me and Danny have a relationship and we talk all the time. So this is for the people who are over on the Ben Dixon channel who haven't really seen much of this brother. I do want to just give one thing and say, Danny, change your name down there to the link that we could donate to. So people who, if they like what you have to say, maybe they will be willing to give you a little scratch for the campaign to get you above board, man. And with that being said, Ben, I'm gonna pass it over to you. I'm gonna let you run this interview, my man.
Yeah, man, not a problem. First of all, Danny, man, look, I've known of you and your work for some years now. I don't know if I learned about you first through Clickbaity and Marcus, but I definitely have seen and witnessed what you're doing in your efforts, not only in this election. Like, you're not new to this, you're true to this. Tell everybody about your work as far back as you want to go in terms of your resume that makes you qualify for this position you're running for.
Man, I got you, man. So basically, it starts with my grandfather, Willie Smokey Glover Sr. He's been a part of my story and journey since I've been involved in community work. And this man told me at a young age, when you recognize something as a problem, that problem becomes yours to fix. And so I've taken that all over the country, all over my city, all over my state, and just use that as my guiding kind of principle in how I approach community issues. And so I've been traveling the country, identifying problems, but not just talking about the problems or talking about what we need to do, but actually getting on the ground, and trying to solve that. And so I found my way early on in my career through political organizing. And so I had a chance to, after I worked locally, and served as the chairman of our Bibb County Democratic Party, had a chance to work on a few local races for state rep, like with Nikki Randall and Miriam Parris and a few other folks in Georgia. I then moved out to Denver. And it was the first time I traveled off to go and work for campaigns. And so I had a chance to get formal training by way of working with Senator Mark Udall. And if you remember what was happening in politics in 2014, this was the first original war on women. And so this was like Democrats' first kind of real battle in terms of protecting those principles that we held dear. And so had a chance to go out there and work with Mark Udall, had a chance to learn and formalize like the natural skill sets that I already possessed, but had a chance to really fine tune those a little bit and learn how to direct, organize, and learn how to, the process of, of building lists and doing all of the field related stuff. And one thing I took from that was with Mark Udall. He said, we got two choices. We can sit here and talk about the campaign, or we can get out into the world and actually do democracy. And so from recognize something that's been a problem, I now enter the world and going out and trying to do democracy. And since then, I don't want to go through my resume, but just a few folks had a chance to work with Senator Sanders in 2015 as Marcus talked about during my introduction. I served as his first HBCU outreach director. And what a lot of people don't know about that program, it was the first program of its type in presidential campaign history. Previous to that campaign, presidents, usually went to one school. They went to Howard, they went to Morehouse, and they interchanged between those two, maybe Hampton on a given year. But what we did during that tour, what we built was a fully sustained eight tour stop at multiple HBCUs, not only in battleground states, but also in other states like Tennessee, places that don't get a lot of work because they don't have a lot of electoral votes. But when it comes down to that popular vote, it adds to that. And so we had a chance to build rallies all over this country. And that opportunity really taught me, what impact we can make when we take a progressive message to the people. A lot of folks, a lot of stuff we ran into, a lot of the talk we ran into during that time was, Bernie's message is not going to work in the South. This is Hillary country, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And once we put it in front of the people, we had lines wrapped around Forbes Arena at Morehouse College, Mike and a few, Mark Lamont Hill. That was the political center of the universe during that time period. And from there, had a chance to work with Stacey Abrams in Georgia during her first gubernatorial campaign. She actually kicked off her campaign from my childhood home on Bowden Street in Macon, Georgia. Had a chance to work on the IE side with Senator Warnock, and had a chance to return back from Denver during another stay. I was the senior advisor for Mayor Michael Hancock after 3 successful reelection campaigns for him. So all that said, I've had a chance to work on all political levels, local, state, federal. I've had a chance to work on a multitude of issues from, protecting Black farmland in both Denver and protecting Black farmers in Memphis from receiving faulty seeds, to protecting small towns like Mason, Tennessee, who were at risk of having their town charter taken, to coming back to Georgia to protect, protecting folks like the Quitman folks who were thrown in jail for registering folks to vote. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I don't say that as a pat myself on the back. I say that as it's always been an on to the next thing, not resting my hat on, I did this thing, let me go and milk this for as much as it worth. No, it's always been about the next thing. And now that next thing and that natural progression of that work is running for Congress in Georgia's 2nd Congressional District. So I'm looking forward to talking about this race. I'm looking forward to any question you may have, good brother.
Yeah, man. No. You know what? I knew you went back. I didn't realize you went all the way back to 2014. I am old enough to remember 2014. It feels weird because now there's a whole generation of politicos and people who are active who aren't quite old enough to remember 2014. So you're definitely not new to this. You've been around. You've worked on every level. Tell us specifically about the 2nd Congressional District there in Georgia, and most importantly, like, you know, the incumbent and the biggest distinctions. Like, why should you be the person to fill that seat?
So let's get into the history of the district. So the history of the carving of the district, that district was carved post VRA in making sure that we had access to a congressional representative post the Voter Rights Act of 1968. And so that district was carved directly through Georgia's Black Belt, which includes Macon, Columbus, Albany, and Thomasville, in some variation throughout redistricting, but that's been pretty much the center of it. And since then, it's been the only Democrat district south of Atlanta. And so it's an agrarian district. Farming is the king here. You know, blueberries are, you know, one of our #1 producers. Poultry and broilers are our #2 producers. And so, you know, it's a really farming and agricultural community. However, in our bigger municipalities like Macon, Columbus, Albany, and even Americas to a certain extent, we haven't seen that growth, and we haven't seen the development of the young people in those areas in order to blow up, you know, like Atlanta or a city of our size in other states or whatever. And so when I look at this district and what kind of propels me to run, it has nothing to do with the type of leadership we've received, because I think the type of leadership we've received over the last 31 years has been honorable, has been admirable. But like I said a few months ago, the battle in DC has now changed. And so what I'm seeing now, as I look at the numbers from 1991, when the district, when the incumbent was first elected in the district, up until now, we've seen almost 12%, almost 12 to 13% slide from 63 to 50% Democrat turnout in the district. And what that tells me as a organizer and operative is that, you know, yes, the incumbent is winning, and yes, that same base of people is turning out, but we're not adding more people to the electorate. We're not bringing out more people or what have you. And while some Democrats may look at that as still we're winning the seat, it does nothing to help us win statewide seats. And so when you look at races like Stacey Abrams, when you look at future races like Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock, they need Georgia's 2nd Congressional District because they're going to clean up in Atlanta. But when we talk about going outside of the 285 Beltway, down into Macon, down into Peach County, where Fort Valley is, down into Baker County, those are the places where we're leaving Black votes, progressive votes, young votes on the table. And so, so seeing that and matching that against, what's happening in DC, the #1 thing that really just pushed me off of the fence was, or off the bench, was Social Security. So my mom, I was raised by my mom. My 2 sisters and my brother, they all receive Social Security benefits because they have learning disabilities. Neither of them can read, write, or do math on their appropriate level. And so my mom's entire life has been pretty much upheld by Social Security, or her safety net has been Social Security, and the same for my brothers and sisters or what have you. And so when I'm, as the only person that doesn't have that deficiency, and the person that's also over their checks and have to pay their bills, and knowing that the money that they're receiving right now isn't enough to last to the end of the month, and I'm having to come out of my pocket to make sure that, okay, once bills are paid, here's an extra $50 or $100 so that y'all can get groceries, or here's an extra $25 so you can get whatever personal items you need. So to talk about cutting that even further that directly affects the people I love the most. And so it was personal for me. It was personal when I think about, some of the requirements they were putting on people that, were to receive Social Security. I know my mom. I've known her my whole life, contrary to popular belief. And I know what she can and cannot do. And it's not just folks who deal with learning disabilities. It's also folks who receive Social Security because their parent may have died when they were in middle school. Right. So they receive those survivors benefits. It's your grandmother and your grandfather, who've worked and paid into this thing, and now they have their monthly income pretty much locked in. And now you're talking about changing that. And so that was the biggest red flag for me, policy wise, to really just stop talking about it and to really take this to the next progression. And so I'm running to win this, man. I'm running to bring a voice to a lot of people that have been not only disenfranchised, but just overlooked. They're not a part of the Democratic establishment. So they're not they're not in their mayors or the respective county commissioner, or they're not in
they're not in the in crowd.
Yeah, they're not in the in crowd. So you don't talk to them. When it's time for Congressional Black Caucus, Institute, to send folks up there, instead of sending the hardest working organizers, the organizers that are going to take this, the district to the future, it's a political appointment for you, for the people that give you the most money and show you the most support. And that's not helping our district. And so my platform is people over profits, people over pollution, people over politics, and most importantly, people over power. And I think putting the people first and taking care of those 4 Ps, our district will not only be future ready, but ready to really take care of the needs of our citizens.
Well, let's jump into a little bit, because, one of the biggest sayings that, one of the most popular sayings in politics, generally speaking, is all politics is local. But there's been that saying came out a little bit earlier than the 90s.
Yeah.
And in fact, the landscape, as you said, since your opponent was there since the 90s, the landscape has changed so much. America is not what America was. America is dangerous for a lot of groups now. It's always been dangerous for Black people, but it's become, even more exacerbated when you look at what's happening in Washington, D.C. And so now I believe that all politics isn't local only. You obviously have to take care of the local issues there, and it sounds like you know them well. My question for you now is, though, on the national stage, what would you do differently than Hakeem Jeffries against Donald Trump?
I would take the same approach.
Hang on, I don't know if that was you or me.
I'm still here testing.
Okay, we're back. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes down to how to approach, I don't think Hakeem Jeffries is putting himself within the actual real people that are going through these issues. I don't think he's surrounding himself with organizers. I also don't think he's surrounding himself with folks who can carry the message to the folks who need it the most. I think his message is appealing to donors. I think, it sounds like, when he goes out and gives his stump, or when he's giving the angry, I'm going to get my back to big, bad, beautiful, ugly bill, it sounds too performative or whatever. So I don't think that there is much that I would do differently, because I don't think that, I don't think his heart is all into what he's doing. I think he's appealing and doing this because he has to feel like he has to do it. And I think that comes off through it. But I said earlier today or yesterday on Twitter, it's like, love him or hate him, but the way Gavin Newsom is full court press on Trump, is something that some Democrats could take, note from or whatever. And it's literally taking what obviously is working and using it against them. And now we're seeing the real meltdown of conservatives and the meltdown of MAGA folks, because they're getting a taste of their own medicine. But I don't think, and Hakeem Jeffries going outside of his style doing that will work. I don't think Hakeem is the person of the moment for this battle.
Yeah. No, it's good to hear you say that. Not that I'm trying to put a wedge between two Black men. I'm not, that's not normally my beat. But, when we consider the fascism that we're facing, You know, when we consider the seriousness of the moment, I want to just echo what you said. Hakeem Jeffries is not the man for the moment, but it also looks like just most of the Democratic establishment, they're not the people for the moment. And we see this playing out in New York City, Zoran Mamdani, rather. And you see how the Democratic establishment is not coming to support. Some are, you know, to be fair, there have been some who supported him. But it seems like the Democratic Party is more proficient at fighting against progressives, and your platform is extremely progressive. So what have you faced internally from the Democrats? What do you project is on the horizon based on your experience with that phenomena?
Yeah, so it's going to be a shit show moving forward. I expect from the Democratic establishment. When I launched my exploratory committee, I had two of Sanford Bishop supporters, Elaine Lucas and David Lucas. They went on a radio show and said young blacks like me need to learn our history, and I needed to, the whole thing or whatever. And so there's been a lot of stuff been said. You know, there's been a rumors that I'm a Republican, a whole bunch of stuff. And as I told you my resume, I've worked for only Democrats. I've never worked for a Republican, voted for a Republican my entire life. But this is, kind of what they're talking about. And again, with that demographic, they're hardworking. Some would say that they have the right to feel the way that they feel. However, when it stands between and impeding, new voters coming to the table, I think they're wrong or whatever. So I expect a lot more roadblocks in the futures from that crowd, but I'm not going to stop, trying to appeal to them. I don't think my message leaves, it leaves elder Democrats and establishment Democrats off. But what I'm going to do that they're just going to have to get used to, I am going to out-organize their asses. And I'm going to make sure that, it's not just my voice and it's not the voices of so-called elected officials and political and politicians. I'm going to show them who the real leaders are in their communities, because fortunately for me, I'm an organizer and I've worked on these. And so whereas they can sell like I got this state rep and this mayor, they're going to support me. But what I know is that state rep and mayor are only going to allow you to use their name to put it on a flyer or on a mailer. They're probably going to record a 30-second radio call for you. But asking that elected official to get out there and knock on doors for you, you better keep waiting, buddy. And so and that's what we're going to do. And so I'm excited. I don't see it as whereas our issues don't align with each other. We care about 99.9% of the issues. I think, we've gotten so past primaries and the spirit of democracy and the spirit of exchanging ideas and move, to a mini fascist kind of approach with how we take democratic politics. And I've often say this, and I've said this publicly, we can't fight fascism in DC with Trump trying to change the Constitution and get a third term when we got it happening on the local level with us trying to install forever congresspersons and daring anybody to run against them and making sure that we do everything to make sure that this person stays in. So fascism exists, on both sides, and we have to be real careful in what we're calling out in DC, just opposed to our actions here here locally.
Okay. Yeah, man. Listen. I'm going to do a round robin question round with you, just really fast, and just tell me what side you fall on. Right. But before we do that, I want you to tell everybody how they can support your platform and just give them a couple of words, because I don't know how I don't know how these round robin questions are going to go. So get their support now. No.
Hey, I need y'all to tap in with me right now. You can give them my campaign. Just go to Danny Glover, DannyDGlover.com. That's DANYDGLOVER Glover.com. You can give there. You can send a message there if you want to help me out. If you want to give me some advice, we'll love to hear from you. You can also reach me on social media, Danny D. Glover, GA2 on all platforms. Would love to engage with you on there as well. But I can't say this enough, y'all. Like, I need your help. Small donations matter. $5 matter. $25 matter. $200 matter. And that's the only way we're going to beat them. And And when I tell y'all we're truly running a grassroots campaign, that's what I mean. Like literally, it's my friends, it's my family, it's folks I've worked with, all pitching in to make all of this stuff happen. And so we're going to win this, and we're going to win this with you. We're going to win this with your small donations, and we're going to win this with you helping me amplify this message, because I can't do this by myself. I know what I know, but there are a lot of things I don't know. And you may be that person that knows the winning message, the winning pathway to victory. And so you can email us at tapin@DannyDGlover.com. Again, that's tapin@DannyDGlover.com, because we want you to tap in with our campaign so that we can get you plugged into the action.
All right, here we go with the round robin questions. Now, feel free to answer as long as you need to answer. Try to keep it brief because it is round robin. I'm going to give you a binary.
Okay.
You don't have to choose one or the other. It just sets the binary, and I think you'll know what to do with it once you hear it. So this first one's not a choice. It's just setting the binary. You ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Israel, Gaza.
Gaza.
Oh, all right. Police abolition or police.
Gaza, because one, I've been literally following that conflict since college. And I really been wanting to tell this story publicly. So the Israel lobby, AIPAC, we all know about. They have strong, deep inroads within HBCU communities. And so what they do is they fly every HBCU president out to DC for their policy conference. They get, first class tickets, best hotels. Literally, it was like every incoming SGA president looks forward to that DC trip. Not because we care so much about Israeli politics and all that, but it's the free trip. And so you get there, and it's their policy conference. And immediately upon getting there, you realize that, am I the attraction here? Am I the guest here? Of course, not saying, it was warm reception, from most people. So I can't say that it was, a bad experience. But one of the bad experiences I did experience was while we were transitioning from one session to the next. I'm walking with a group of folks that represented AIPAC, and we're outside the convention center in DC, and there were Palestinian protesters. This was back in 2000, and I graduated. This is like 2010, I believe, okay. 2010, 2011. And so there were a group of protesters out there, and then one of the protesters pulled, as I'm walking past, and it was like, do you know what you're supporting? And so they started telling me about the occupation, and they started telling me that. And the people that I was walking with that were representing the AIPAC organization literally looked at them and said, pay no attention to that scum, and berated them and like in a way that I've never seen before. And it disgusted me. And I never went back to another forum from there. And so through the years, I've had a chance to follow it from the outside. They always say, you never know enough, and they want everybody to be a deep expert on it. But when October 7th happened, I knew in that moment I didn't need to be an expert on this. I knew that shit was wrong. I knew what I heard the advisors of Netanyahu say. I heard when they said they're going to cut off water, they're going to cut off air, they're going to cut off electricity. I knew what that meant. And anybody needing to work their way up to calling this what it was, and that was a genocide, mass starvation, ethnic cleansing, you didn't need to work your way up to it. So that was
an easy one for you. Yeah.
That was easy.
No, excellent. All right. So then number 2, reparations or nah?
Reparations.
You want to say anything about it real quick?
Yeah, I think reparations is a dead old. I think the Amanda Seales interview is making the rounds or whatever. But I think one of the main things that folks need to learn, and well, not really learn, but folks who are on the fence about reparations or just completely against it, I think they're looking at it from the wrong point of view. They're looking at it from, my hand, our hand, Black Americans' hand, FBA, Adolf's hand, Friedman hand, all the different factions. Hands is in your pocket. But I don't view it like that. It's a debt. Like the government sponsor this type of activity. They sponsor chattel slavery. They supported it through law and in subsequent years afterwards. So when you put in the black codes, when you put in, segregation, when you put in all of these different red line, all these different impediments to black progress, yes, there's some reparative effort that needs to be happening. So I am 100% for reparations, but not in the sense that I'm just going to support a commission to study. We've seen that happen for 30, 40 years now at this point. It's time to take that to the next place. And I think as an organizer, I can bring that to Congress. It's like, with John Lewis and we had organizers that knew how to not only, I guess, legislate and work that political side, but you also need organizers. And so I'm going to go and organize Congress.
All right. Number 3, Medicare for all or fix Obamacare?
Medicare for all. It should have been Medicare for all from the beginning. Romney Care got us where we're at now. So let's quit playing with it. And that means a lot for me in my district. I mean, we've had almost 3 to 4 hospitals have closed since 2020 in rural areas. Private equity has bought up pharmacies throughout rural Georgia, rural Southwest Georgia, and they've gotten into that space and realized, oh damn, we are not in the pharmacy business. This is not making us money. So we're going to pull out. And so now communities are left without pharmacies. And so Medicare for all, and then people are getting sick. I say people over pollution. That's a multi-pronged approach with our district because, as I said, we have a lot of factories, we have a lot of plants, and we have a lot of waterways, and those waterways are constantly being dumped in with pollution, and that pollution is affecting every health indicator, in our communities. And so when you look at the violence in most of our major cities, Macon, Columbus, Albany, Americus, Thomasville, and you layer on top the factories and places that pollute the environment the most, they're in the same radius, they're within the same communities. You're not seeing that in the more affluent communities. And so, definitely Medicare for all.
All right. Last one. Means testing or universal benefits, universal programs?
Universal programs. I think with means testing, a lot get caught in the process of trying to do it, and you lose people through the gaps, what have you. So I'm with as much. Here's my thing. I think we should try to do our best to take care of as many people as possible. And if some folks, slip through the cracks, I don't see that as an issue.
Okay. Last one. And this one's a little tricky, but you answer it however the Lord leads you. I'm asking, and I probably shouldn't set this up, but this is my first time testing this question out. So you help me troubleshoot it. It's a nuanced question. Police abolition or defund the police? Hang on. Here's the thing. I'm asking about them in terms of, do you see those slogans as merely slogans? Do you see them as bad? Do you see them as a positive? Where do you fall on the police abolition, defund the police spectrum?
So I didn't see defund the police as a bad thing. I mean, it's something I used and I was able to explain it, and didn't have an issue with it. Now, the police abolition, I really didn't get into that side of leftism or what have you or whatever, because again, like knowing my district and knowing my people, that's not a topic that folks normally talk about. So we haven't had that level of leftism, permeate to my side of the district. So, but where I personally fall, like I do think defund the police in its truest state still answers the issue. It was never about abolishing all police departments. It was never about we want a lawless city, with just no type of law in place. It was really about, and again, I don't have to explain this to you, rethinking how we spend our police dollars, what have you. But I mean, a lot of things stopped that from happening. A lot of courage, standing on the business and being able to say we support this and not caving when pressure started happening, what have you. And so, but right now, in terms of slogans, I wouldn't probably use that slogan right now, but I still believe in the principles of it. And even in my platform, I call for making space in the budget for, social workers and mental health workers to go on certain cases or whatever, because you don't always need to invite a gun to a situation. And so, sure. I'm totally, for real.
Right. All right. Well, we have your link on the screen, secure.actblue.com/donate/Danny Glover GA2. Everybody who's listening, if you like what you heard and you want to support this brother, feel free to go over to not only that website, but we also have your full website, DannyGlover.com.
22, I appreciate you.
Yeah. No,
Y'all
yeah,
already on Team Glover, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, and then also go over to DannyDGlover.com. Now, how many times do you do interviews and people are like, now dang on, wait a minute. Now I know Danny Glover's older than this.
Dude, like when I tell you, I thank my mom and my daddy for giving me that name. So I'm named after my uncle. Him and my mom were like this growing up. And so he died shortly before I graduated Clark Atlanta University. The president was Alpha. And so when I was born, my mom wanted me to have his namesake or whatever. And so she named me Danny Glover. My dad allowed me to keep the last name and everything. And so,
wow.
Yeah. So that name has always helped me out. Like every job that I've ever applied for, even with some places I knew weren't going to hire me, they invited me in just to see or just to tell me. So, man, like it's one of the best days that I can say that my mom has given me is my name, and I'm hoping that name helps me get a few votes down in Southwest Georgia as well. They see Danny Glover's running. Hey, I'm your lethal weapon, baby.
Yes, there it is. There it is. Awesome, man. Bringing our brother Marcus back into the conversation. Marcus, we gave him a pop quiz there for a second, but he passed with flying colors. Not that we're the litmus test at all by any means, but I think folks really need to hear how boldly he stood on each of those issues. So shout out to you, brother Glover.
Yeah, man. Well done, sir. He passed my litmus test, but I mean, yeah. So good stuff. You want to stick around for the rest of the show, man?
Yeah, I got a few more minutes. Yeah, I got a few more minutes.
All right, well then we gonna let you mind there, Pastor Ben?
Hey man, listen, brother Danny. But if you feel like going, you should tip out now, because I know sometimes you get in church and church service go a little long. You don't want to tip out in front of everybody. So whenever you got to go, man, just let us know and we get you out of here.
Don't worry about it. We're gonna go camera off, mic off, and then I'm going.
Oh, there it is. All right, Marcus.
Yes. And listen, first off, that was a great interview. Trap Squad, Squirrel Gang. Give Danny a hand. Danny is someone that I'm supporting. I want everybody to judge their own politics. I'm not going to Jim Clyburn the progressive left and tell y'all who y'all need to be supporting. I just hope that we stick to our values. South Georgia hasn't seen a cat like this before. Georgia hasn't seen a cat like this before, right? So the more you know about him, go retweet his stuff, go follow him on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. We don't always have to be the reactionary about who we think is popular, right? Sometimes we can create that person, right? Why not try with a brother that's right here, that's joining your favorite show on Tuesday, Wednesday nights, right? Like, why not find somebody that you can support on that level, right? Maybe Danny will start saying some cool stuff that will actually impress you enough to do that. But we definitely need you. Well, he definitely needs your help on the campaign. With that being said, Ben, go to the page. I want to play it.
Wait.
I want to play it. Oh yeah.
I wasn't teed up for that one. Hang on a second. Let's see what you got over here on TikTok today, man.
So before we get into that, I want to talk to everybody about how Trump in real time wants to do this revisionist history thing.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the Black History Museum, Smithsonian, I forgot the official name of it now, Mac, I believe, or something like that, is woke. He said it only talks about, not exactly his words, I'm paraphrasing, it only talks about how the pain and the bad things about America, and it doesn't have any celebrations of the good things of America. Go to the poor Republican problem right there in the middle. And before we get started with this, I actually, you know what? Pause it. Let's play this right here real quick. It might just set up our conversation. If you haven't seen this, this is from the Marcus Farrell Live channel. And I think you guys might
hit that like button before we even start, because I'm about to hurt some feelings. Poor white Republicans, y'all are the dumbest motherfuckers alive. I mean that with all due respect, which is none. You broke, can't pay a $600 emergency bill. You got one good tooth left in your head, but you still voting Republican like you on the damn board of ExxonMobil. Brother, you ain't Exxon, you Exxon's janitor. Imagine being poor and Republican. That's like being a backup dancer at your own funeral. You putting in work, but you ain't even in the program. You busting your ass, working 12-hour shifts, and somehow you convince the reason your life sucks is because of Jamal on Section 8 and Maria cleaning hotel rooms. Meanwhile, the politician you love just gave your boss another tax cut big enough to buy a second yacht, and your ass can't even afford a second freezer burrito. Lyndon B. Johnson said it best: convince the lowest white man he's better than the best black man, and he won't notice you picking his pocket. Republicans took that quote and turned it into their whole damn business plan. They've been running that scam longer than Walmart been selling expired ground beef. Let's look at the numbers, because the shit's hilarious. The majority of poor people in America white, and most of them live in red Republican districts. That means half of y'all mad at black folks you don't even see. You live 30 miles from the nearest city, but Fox News got you thinking Lil Durk himself is carjacking your John Deere tractor at midnight. Man, stop it. The only crime in your county is your cousin stealing copper wire out the old Walmart parking lot. And the economy? Harvard economist Raj Chetty proved poor white kids today are less likely to move up than their parents were. Translation: you ain't just broke, you raising broke too. Meanwhile, poor black kids, we actually moving up a little. Not because America loves us more, it don't. But because at least some of us figured out the hustle. Y'all double down on it like blackjack dealers with a drinking problem. Think about it. You can barely afford a MAGA hat, but you'll rock one like it's Gucci. You out here voting for a billionaire with gold toilets who tells you he understands your struggle. My man ain't even pumped his own gas since the 80s. He don't know struggle. He thinks struggle is waiting for the maid to iron his tie. And y'all in line like, yes, sir, that's my guy. That's not patriotism. That's being in an abusive relationship with your political party. And don't get me wrong, the Democrats, they full of shit too. They'll smile in your face, promise you student loan relief, and then send you another email asking for $10 before midnight. But Republicans will rob you, call you stupid, and you'll thank them for it. That's pimp shit. That's iceberg slim level manipulation. They pimping y'all harder than a 70 seconds blaxploitation film, and the soundtrack ain't even good. Here's the human part though. I know you love your families. You want dignity. You work hard, harder than most, and you deserve better. But damn it, y'all keep voting like y'all own mansions when you can't even afford an oil change. That's not just dumb. That's tragic comedy. That's Shakespeare in a trailer park. So let me break it down. Racism ain't why you broke. Immigrants ain't why you broke. Woke ain't why you broke. You broke because the same party you worship been draining your pockets while they blame everybody but themselves. And until you figure that out, your grandkids gonna be just as broke, wearing the same MAGA hat you pawned to buy ramen noodles. So next election, try this. Vote for someone who might actually do something for your broke ass, or don't. Keep cheering for the rich man who wouldn't even let you in his country club parking lot. Either way, I'll be here laughing, roasting, and telling the truth. Hit that follow button. This is Marcus Farrell Live, where the truth is funny, the comedy is brutal, and the facts hurt worse than your credit score. Hit that like button before we even start, because I'm about to hurt some feelings.
There it is.
Poor
There
white
it is.
Republicans. Y'all are the
Hey man, that's great, man. Everybody in the chat room, I don't know if you see in the comments, man. They loving it.
Crazy.
Hey, listen, man. I mean it. They are the dumbest people in the political spectrum. Followed next by, I think, Democratic sycophants. And I don't mean that like Democratic voters. I mean the people who are just like vote blue no matter who, right? I think that they are like 8 levels above the poor Republicans. What are you doing being poor and a Republican? Somebody explain that to me. I don't understand that. I don't understand the math behind that. But
the math
it
not
is
math.
what it is. That math is not mathing whatsoever. Bubba is in the house. Hey Bubba, man, how you doing? I hope everybody's doing having a good time. Hey man, listen. So Trump wants to tweak what's inside the Black American History Museum. And a couple things we don't want. We don't want Trump or the Black people Trump knows to have any access to curating that museum. If you've been to that museum, it is the coolest Black place as it stands right now in America. It's white people. If you go to DC, that is the best museum in DC. And I say that neutral. Oh, yes, I like it. And I definitely like, the Museum of History and and the fossils and all. I mean, that's great, right? I like the Native American Museum. That's amazing, right? I believe they're finishing the Mexican American, Spanish American museums, or have they finished that? I'm not certain about that. But when it comes down to the African American History Museum, it's the best museum in DC. It kind of shows that American culture is based off of blackness. Steps of the only step it doesn't take us through, and I will say this right here, and it should be a little bit, it should be a portion that's put in there, but once we get woken up, maybe we do it. The only thing they're missing is the black folks that were here before slavery, because there were black people here hundreds of years before the first enslaved people came, right? And we're talking about, you know, evidence, proof evidence, and even knowing that, you know, coca leaves were found in tombs, right? Of the Egyptian tombs, right? So they've been traveling back and forth from Africa over here for a while, right? So inconvenient truths for the Trump administration is dictating this right here. And also, there's no other word for it. Trap Squad, Squirrel Gang, if you can help me out with this one, maybe I can think of a different word for it. But I have a word that explains exactly what this whole situation is about. Racism.
Period.
Racism. Because if the truth hurts you so bad, Donald Trump, and you want us to forget our history, then what do you want us to forget? Do you want to teach that history that I'm pretty certain that those people that CPAC want to teach, whereas, well, the slaves were happy and they were getting fed? Guys and girls, let me tell you something. The American chattel slave system had plantations that were called breeding plantations. I'm not talking about the regular plantations, folks. I'm talking about breeding plantations where they would take a healthy looking black woman, a healthy looking black male, and make them like animals and expect us to forget that happened. No, I'm not talking about the regular cotton picking plantation. I'm talking about breeding plantations where they lock sisters up for 9 months out of the year, put them on a chain against the wall, and their whole job was to get pregnant and have a kid. That happened. And Trump has the gall to sit up here and say that that museum is only talking about the bad things. Let me tell you what else is in that museum. Parliament Funkadelic, George Clinton. You remember the spaceship that dropped down? That's in there. That's fun. That's not pain. That's fun. You want to get rid of that? You know what else they have, ironically? Clarence Thomas. That's right. Clarence Thomas has an exhibit at the Black History Museum. They didn't leave his sellout ass out. I bet you that won't change. Ben, what you got, man?
Look, man, this is they're getting down to the micro level of editing history, and that's what I mean by this. Is like they started broadly a couple years ago, doing pushbacks on just the narrative, just the, you know, coming up with the inverting woke from meaning what it meant to turning it into an attack on blackness wherever we found it, right? They went through the phases with DEI, with critical race theory, all of it building up to the fact that they have to erase our history. If they're able to graze a generation that has no connection to its history, then they get to tell us who we are. They get to define what we can believe. They get to define how far we can dream based on the history that they tell us. And this is what's the most important thing to them, right? Besides destroying the present, they have to absolutely erase the history. If they don't erase the history, then the present can always be rebuilt, reborn. The present is always reborn from history. And so they're striking at it. And they're getting to the point now, you know, you saw it in, especially with the military, they go in and change web page by web page by web page. So now you got to think, if they're willing to go that far to erase and distort Black history, then what's going to stop them except us being willing to go as far, right, to protect our history day by day by day by day, making sure that what they erased is not erased from us, right? They could take it off the empire's websites. Fine. Whoever's running the empire, that 4-year block, they might put Black history in. They might take Black history out. That lets us know that if we leave our history dependent on the empire, then we're never going to have our own identity. So we need to just not forget about what they're doing, call out what they're doing, but we got to protect our history amongst ourselves, get the history circulating amongst ourselves, make sure that we know without need of the government. So then when the government erases a website, we know what belongs there, even if they erased it.
Yep. Dan, you got anything on it?
I don't have much to add, man. Like y'all have already stated, like once you start going after the history, you start going after like who a group of peoples are. But my biggest thing is like, you know, this is one of those inflection points, whereas the Black community and Black America, like what are we going to do? Like, you know, like what are we going to do in this moment? How radical are we going to take this moment and push this moment? Like, what are we willing to do? Like, are we going to just let this happen and just, you know, blog about it and podcast about it and talk about it years come? Or are we willing to circle the whole damn building and allow ourselves to be locked up individually until they can't lock up anybody else? Like, so that's the love I'm at with these type of things, not just to perform in a performative fashion, but this is something that we truly care about and value, that tells the story of our people. We should be able to willing to put our bodies on the lines to protect it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to get your arrest on, DC is definitely the place to be if you want to get your bona fides right now. And I don't mean that as a resume builder. I mean it as that's where it's amazing that the capital of our nation is probably one of the major fighting points, inflection points of Black America and and civil rights of modern times. Look, I make these videos on my TikTok page and on my Facebook page and on right here on YouTube for a reason. Shout out to Infinite Content for giving me the idea about doing Eugene Bullard and also all the other people. I know one of the things that I can do is just talk about Black history on my channel, right? So because you know what, y'all can do a lot, but unless y'all EMP this whole thing, we're gonna be able to. There's gonna be a output, a place where we can land and actually learn about our real heroes and learn about our history right there. The only thing I'm concerned with really is all that valuable stuff. Don't they have Michael Jackson's glove in there?
They got Tennessee State University's a Grammy Award winning uniform in there. Like there's so much stuff in there, man. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
like so it's yeah. So there's I'm talking about Stevie Wonder's harmonica, Mike's glove, you know. I mean, I guess they'll keep the entertainment because they don't mind the Sambo part of Black. And I'm not saying Sambo in a negative. They don't mind the entertainment part of Black culture. But what they don't want to talk about is the things that actually happened to us. Man, our history is real history, no matter how uncomfortable it makes Trump and them white boys be. In Florida right now, they are discussing what's going to be allowed in the textbooks. DeSantis, I mean, just this attack on Black history is just woo. DeSantis is pushing for having final clearance on all education pieces that are allowed in Florida public schools. And for the first time in my life, I'm going to say, man, I need these charter schools to step it up. I am not the biggest charter school advocate, but if there are charter schools that are teaching Black history and teaching, I mean, and also forcing some mandatory things for our children to learn to get out and be competitive and get to college and get their trades, we might just need to go that route. I've been hearing rumors that Senator Al Lawson from Tallahassee, Florida, is going to be running for governor of Florida. I've been hearing rumors that a certain sister by the name of Angie Nixon is running for U.S. Senate in the state of Florida. And if it hasn't came out, it's out now. Has cat's out the bag. Everybody knows about it, right? These are two Black folks, one from Tallahassee, one from Jacksonville. More progressive probably than me and Danny, by the way. And her voting record shows it. her voting record in the state house is probably the most progressive voting record in the history of Florida, and she represents North Side, Jacksonville, right? We need people like this to be running for office, and we need replacements for it, and we need to have these victories, right? So, I'm not gonna go too far into it, but what I will say is, along with Danny and the new progressive wave of people who want to run for office, it might be time for you to run for office, Clickbaity, Trap Squad.
That part.
It just might be time, right? There's like I keep saying it, but when is the proper time? I had a conversation with a young sister that is running for mayor of a city up in Illinois. She called me today and she was like, "I'm running for office." I was like, "What?" It was one of those what moments, but it just makes sense. And she worked for us for, I guess Danny's out here. Danny, you're out. Danny's out.
Yeah, we had a plan in place, man. It was mute, camera off. Like, come on, man.
I wouldn't think
you messed up with me. You just called me out of the middle of church.
I caused you to get see. Now let me help you out, brother. It's been a pleasure having you on, man.
Thank you, man.
Best of luck, and we'll catch up with you and have you back on anytime, man.
And thank y'all so much. I appreciate the space. And again, www.dannydglover.com. Any contribution you could bless me with goes towards making sure that we can text a few extra people, we can knock on a few extra doors, and we got the gas money to get from Macon all the way down to Thomasville, Georgia. So I need y'all help. Every dollar counts. Danny D. Glover, GA2 on all platforms. Take care, bros.
Take care, man. God bless you.
All right. Hey, Pastor Ben, I'm calling early myself tonight.
Hey, man. It's been a solid show. We covered a lot of ground in 55 minutes.
Yeah, we did. Maybe if we keep it tight, we'll be more professional and people will start watching us again.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan, Brian. All right, black man.
All right, my brother.
We will see everybody next time. All right, now.
All right. Peace out, folks.
Trap Squad, 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 Trap Squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, Thirst Trap Squad, Squirrel Squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, let me hear ya. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Thirst Trap, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, let me hear ya. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, throw those squirrels up if